What's like the most interesting thing either of those men shared with you about Bruce Lee that people may not necessarily know? Hey guys, I got another video for you with Tommy Carruthers, the Jeet Kune Do expert. Make sure to check out his YouTube channel as well as his website. I'll link him in the description below. But anyway, in today's discussion, we ask him, how was it like training with Bruce Lee's first student as well as last student? What did he learn? We're also going to talk about the obsession that people get when it comes to training martial arts and a little commentary on participation trophies. Anyway, please help support the channel by hitting the like button, subscribing, sharing the video, and with that said, let's get on to this discussion with Tommy. So you basically trained with Bruce Lee's first as well as Bruce Lee's last student, right?
Yeah, yep.
Bruce Lee's first student was Jesse Glover, who would also become Bruce Lee's first assistant instructor in the United States.
And for a period, I think I was probably as close to him as anybody.
He met Lee in 1959 at Edison Technical College and practiced judo with Lee. Jesse Glover majored in psychology and was a champion judoka. In the 1993 film Dragon: The Bruce Lee Story, the character Jerome Sprout was based on Glover. Bruce Lee's last student was Ted Wong. Wong's first encounter with Bruce Lee was in Los Angeles, California in 1967, where Lee was giving a kung fu seminar. At the time, Wong had no experience in martial arts, but was so impressed by Lee that he decided to study at Lee's Jun Fan Kung Fu Institute in Los Angeles. Shortly after beginning his training, Bruce Lee would accept Wong as his private student. Wong would eventually become Lee's sparring partner and close friend.
So he teach me how to take the kick and look real. Actually, missed me by maybe just friction per inch.
What's like the most interesting thing either of those men shared with you about Bruce Lee that people may not necessarily know?
The most interesting thing is Jesse always said to me, think for yourself. That's the thing he said. And there's one thing, and I was telling somebody this the other day. So I used to bring all these guys out every year, right? He would always teach stuff, and I would always look at it and think, well, I've took this a bit further. And I'd tell Jesse this, and he says, don't waste your money on these people. And I'd say, but maybe they've got this, maybe they've got that. Don't waste your money. So I used to always think to myself, well, maybe Jesse's saying this because that he just wants me to bring him over. So as the time was going on, one day it just clicked, and I went, that's right, I'm not wasting my money. What are these guys showing me? I could show them, which I've done on many occasions, you know. And that was it. Think for yourself. The other thing he said that just took me to a higher level, then he says, the last conversation I had with Bruce in Seattle, when Linda came up to her mother's some birthday party, and he was invited there, and him and Bruce spent the party in the basement, and Bruce was showing him where he took his martial art, and he says to him, so what are you doing? He says, basically I'm fencing with my hands and feet. And Jesse said to me, you've got Bruce's attributes. You've got that level of skill, you've got the speed, you've got the power. You can do the things that he was doing. Go away and look at that. It's just where the start. He goes, just everything's through feeling. Don't copy, you don't need to do it. Just everything. Feel how a fencer moves, feel the rhythm, feel the timing, feel all this, feel the explosive movements, feel the change of direction. Go and do it. Don't think of techniques, don't think about how. Do it.
Don't think. Feel.
And that was it. And that's the biggest and the best bit of advice anybody ever gave to me. Ted Wong was a really nice guy, so nice. But the thing is, Ted knew nothing about fighting. He'd never really fought in his life, apart from a brief encounter that I'm not going to say how that went. He really didn't know much about hand-to-hand combat in reality. He could show you so many things that Bruce showed him. But again, back to Ted. I said to Ted, so did Bruce show you this? He says, no. He says, I really just looked and copied sometimes. And I asked him, so all this footwork you teach Ted, did this come from Bruce? He goes, no. He says, a lot of this is my own footwork for boxing. He says, my footwork is very simple. Jesse said the same thing, keep everything really simple. So Ted would give you a rough idea of something like what Bruce was doing, but Jesse was more realistic and pointed me in a far more, how could you say, a far better direction than Ted did, you know. But Jesse had tons of experience with hand-to-hand combat and fighting. He had tons of, what is a bouncer, scrapped all the time. practiced judo, everything. So he'd a far better outlook and a lot more experience. And he's the guy that really helped me so much and really shaped me, without him. And although Jesse didn't do JKD, he started off doing Bruce's stuff, and then he formed his own thing called non-classical kung fu. He still knew where Bruce was going. He still knew, roughly what he was doing, going there, and that's it. So I've never really have to, all my life, I've never really have to depend on a teacher. I've always had a kind of eye for what I'm doing, and I've always had that creative ability to look beyond and keep going and hone it and play a bit with it, and that's it. And always think, well, who's the best teacher? Yourself. You better than anybody else. But I'm not going to say, that I don't respect the people who showed me things or said things to me. Of course I did. I really did. But I went a lot further on my own with using my mind, definitely. Because a lot of the questions I asked a lot of these people, they really couldn't answer. I'd ask them things and they go, well, I'm not really too sure. Okay. So I just done what I always done. Tommy, figure it out. That's
okay.
It. And I think that's the best way to learn. A teacher's good, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you can learn more yourself because you're going to do it 100 times it's not right before you learn the way it is right. But then again, the 100 times you're doing it wrong, look at the experience you've got when you're teaching somebody, well, don't do it this way, don't do it that way, do it this way, because I found through the mistakes I made, this is a better way to do it, try it. But I've never depended on people showing me things. I nearly taught myself 90% of Wing Chun. I looked at judo, some things in judo, modified them, played with some Tai Chi, boxing. I've always been looking at things and modifying and changing them just when I was interested. But I think you should just use your own mind and be creative. But maybe a lot of people can't do that. Maybe people don't have that artistic tendency that they can just look at things and develop things. Maybe they just don't have that artistic touch or that artistic eye where they can see a subject in front of them. It's like when I'm carving, I just start with a block of wood, but inside the wood, I see what it is that I want to bring out of this piece of wood, maybe in a month's time. Or I look at a person and I look at the shape of him, and I think, this is what he is now, but in a month's time, I want to see him moving like that. Already picture him. Then a month down that line, he's doing it. Then I'm just tweaking him all the time. So I'm not like a teacher. I'm maybe just like an artist that works on live subjects.
An artist that works on a live subject. It's an interesting way to think of things, but it's pretty much Colonel Troutman's and Rambo's relationship.
We didn't make you this fighting machine. We just chipped away the rough edges.
Maybe that's it, because I really don't, in the classical term, teach people. I just suggest things for them to try. Try it this way, or how's your body weight feel that way, or what about this? That feels better. Right, okay, try it. Does that feel better? That's it. That's all I really do. I'm just going to help people.
So are these the concepts why you don't think there's like a belt ranking system at all in something like Jeet Kune Do?
Yeah,
that's
probably.
kind of why.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've always felt like in a lot of martial arts, I've always felt like a black belt level is like the beginning.
That is it. Because I was too fanatical about training. I trained, 5 days a week, 3 times a day. Ate, slept.
Like how many hours a day do you think you were training?
Well, we trained every morning, afternoon, and I went to teach at night. And before I taught, I would go to my school very, very early, and I would train before the class. And I done that 5 days a week. I was totally fanatical, and just ate and slept it.
Well, here's a question though. I mean, 5 days a week is good. I train 5 days a week. I think that's enough. But how come you didn't train 7? Because you said you were fanatical. I mean, some people literally never take time off, which I don't necessarily recommend.
So at the weekend, I was more or less teaching at the weekend. If I wasn't teaching in my school, I'd be going away flying to do seminars. So that's the reason why I didn't do the 7 days, But it really just got fanatical that I just felt as if I was losing my head with it, if that makes sense. I couldn't walk from here to here without actually going like this. Every time I stood, I go like that. Every time I sat, I drew figures. Every time I thought about punching and kicking, I'd throw 3,000 punches without a rest. I'd throw 2,000 kicks without a break. I get so fanatical all the time. And it was driving me mad. really mad. And Yvonne, when she's in here now, the thing is, without her, there's no other woman that would have stuck me apart from her, because she understood me. If I had been with anybody else at that time, would have went like, Tommy, you're finished. No, I can't live with a person like you. But the thing is, living with Yvonne knew what I was all about. She helped me. And if I said, sit and watch the TV, stand up to do this sidekick 100 times to get this bit right, or look at this, look at that. Right, Tommy, okay, what do you want me to do? Or put your hand up, sit and watch, put your hand up, try that, try this punching. If I punch and you grab it, can I do that? Can I disengage in it? And there's no other woman would do what she done, So I'm very grateful for her when I was at my most fanatical peak in my life.
Sure.
And then one day I realized that there's more to life in martial arts.
One day you realize there's what?
There's more to life.
Oh, there's more to life than martial arts. Yeah, I mean, there is, it's easy to basically get so consumed in something. I mean, when I started training at 14, like, that was my life. I mean, obviously I'm going to school and I'm hanging out with my friends sometime, but I wouldn't do things other kids would do. Like, I wouldn't go out drinking in high school or doing drugs or anything, because I'm like, no, I'm in the gym or I'm in the dojo. This is my life, and I get my high that way. Like, I don't need, something else to get a high, because this makes me the happiest. It makes me feel the best. So I have an addictive personality, so I'm actually glad.
Well, I'm the same.
I got into that at an early age, kept me out of trouble, and it sounds like, that's what happened to you as well.
Jess used to say that to me all the time. He goes, Tommy, you've got a personality like Bruce. Bruce had an addictive personality, and that's it. Anything I get interested in, I just go overboard with. It's
no, I mean, it's it's a fine line. It is important to find balance in life. Like you said, there's things outside of martial arts, but on the other side of the coin, it's like the people who get so obsessed with it, I mean, they're the ones that take it to the next level and do great things, which it may not necessarily be the healthiest thing in other parts of their life, but it's almost necessary, because you've obviously, have done really great things. I've seen some of your footage with Jeet Kune Do, and even some of the people who talk about you. It's almost like, in some ways, you've gone beyond Bruce Lee, like maybe in your speed, for example, with your hands.
Some people said that I took JKD further than Bruce did, and I think the Lee family weren't too happy about that.
Well, here's the thing. I look at it two ways. I mean, yes, he's got a legacy, but I would think Bruce Lee would want somebody to take what he started further. That's like the whole philosophy with Jeet Kune Do. Like, it would make sense. He would want that, even though his family necessarily may not want to because of the legacy. But I would think Bruce Lee would, be happy about that.
Of course, I mean, I want to do the same thing with my students. I want to instill them. I want to, when I teach them, I like to instill this mentality in it where I want them to think for themselves, because I like to put my students in, when I teach them, I like to put them in a situation and say, experiment and create things. And when people say, what's this called? It's not got a name. Where'd this come from? Here, or it came from his brain. He figured it out. It's not got a name. It just worked for him. So that's the way I like to teach, But I think people really don't appreciate JKD today, and I don't think they really totally understand it.
What if somebody wanted to learn Jeet Kune Do? Obviously, let's say they don't live near you to get this one-on-one training or anything. Like, what would you tell them, or what would you recommend?
I've got an online course. I had the very, very first online tuition course through my webpage. That's a good way for them to start. It gives them the basics. Once you get the basics, you could just keep the basics and just keep training. But if you had the basics and you keep training and you had some kind of vision of where you wanted to take it, and you had a lot of motivation, you can get really, really good at it. But if you've got somebody like me who's got a kind of educated eye and who's got a vision, when I look at you, I can see where I want to take you, then that's the best route to go down, But JKD is only basic techniques, The only you get a beginner here and you get a most advanced guy here. The two of them are doing the same techniques, roughly. The only difference is one guy's a million times better, but it's roughly the same thing. That's it. But nothing beats a teacher, in 5 minutes. You can get somebody started really fast in about 5 minutes, and then they've got to train themselves, and they've got to go away, and they've got to really they've got to look at what they've been taught and think everything I said, and they've got to practice it. It's not a case of just take a lesson and go away. You've got to really hone your skills down and practice and practice. The more you practice, the better you're going to be. That's it. That's how you don't see a lot of people so good at anything these days, is because this generation doesn't like to really sweat and train hard and do things hard. They want everything really dead easy. But
Yeah,
with a
yeah,
skill like
definitely.
this, you want to be good at it. This doesn't come easy. Can't you buy it?
You really got to respect the time and dedication it takes to develop great skills. Certainly can't be bought with money. I can't help but visualize how this scenario would play out if somebody did try to buy skills.
200,000.
What's your name? Ray. Yeah, you're a good negotiator. Because you didn't even lowball me. You and your friends are the kind of spoon-fed fucking fruit bait that I fucking hate!
Oh, that didn't work.
And, you know, it doesn't come like that. You've got to put the hard work in. And if you put the hard work in, one day you'll have it. That's it.
Well,
But
see, I think that's kind of one of the problems where the generation most recent grew up with participation trophies. See, they're getting a trophy. I remember growing up, I didn't get any trophies because basically me and my team sucked. Like my brother had all the trophies in the bookcase and I was kind of jealous, but you know what? I didn't deserve them because I sucked, and not in martial arts. That's actually pretty decent at that. But like in basketball and things like that, you know, like my team sucked. I sucked. We don't deserve anything. It is what it is at the end of the day, you know, but now everybody gets one. Nowadays, my parents' bookcase would be full of my trophies and my brother's.
if you come in last, you get one. You know,
Yeah, no, it's
as long
ridiculous.
as you took part, you get a trophy. Okay, so you took part, there you go. That's me, you know, trophy.
Yeah.
You're